Welcome in, Wednesday edition, Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Carport Studio here with you today. Podcast presented by Twisted Tea as well. We'll discuss that here in a bit on the show. We'll get back to the Missouri NIL situation that we didn't get to yesterday. There was practice last night. It was a really intense one. We'll go through that a little bit and much more here with you. Some national storylines as well. Reading Twitter this morning, live stream. A lot of places to get content. And we'll be with you for a little over an hour here on this morning's show. The Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford. Lunch specials, ribs. They can take care of dinner tonight. Wet or dry, call ahead. They'll wrap them up, have them ready to go for you. The hot case, plenty of desserts, side items, and more. Lunch specials feature 2 sides, bread, and a fountain drink of your choice from a size standpoint. Might as well get the large one, because why not? Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900's that number. Call it. Ask for my friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. Or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. Again, 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. The Campbell Clinic is in Oxford now, 2608 South Lamar Boulevard, Suite 102, just across the street from the cottages at Hooper Hollow. The Campbell Clinic provides full-service orthopedic care, everything from sports medicine to foot and ankle surgery to spine and total joint care to pediatric orthopedics and physical therapy. To book an appointment, go to campbellclinicoxford.com or call 901-759-3111. Walk-ins are always welcome at the Campbell Clinic, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Have you let fame get to you? Your fame? Has it gotten to you?
Yeah, it was like people coming into the neighborhood. I had to stop, sign some autographs, do some different things. Yeah, 100%.
Your Ric Flair robe that you walked in with this morning, it just seemed a bit much.
You should see the fuchsia one, really.
It just seemed a bit much.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you do you.
Yeah.
But, you know, you show up every day and just do your thing, and so no one can really tell whether the fame has gotten to you or not.
You can't read people's minds.
Especially when they're wearing a football helmet.
Yes. Now I'm lost all train of thought. I'm going to jump into football in a second. You were at practice last night. We'll get into that. Did you see this? Because it's not worth a segment or anything, but with errors so far down in Major League Baseball, did you see that this morning?
I saw the headline. I haven't had a chance to read the story, but I did see the headline.
Major League Baseball denying it, but
well, how can they deny it?
Well, they're denying that it is a mandate or that they have told people to have fewer errors.
Oh.
But apparently, if you have to take 1 or 2 steps, it's not an error anymore in baseball. They are trying to figure out why, what's causing it. They think some of the scoring system situations from the pandemic changes when they didn't have scores in the park. While there's scores back in the park, those systems are still in place to some extent. So it's created some continuity. But there's a really good story this morning about unraveling exactly why. Batting average is up a little bit because of it. Errors down the fewest in history through how many ever games they are through at this point.
Are ERAs up?
I'm sure it's in the story. I haven't seen that.
Okay.
But, you know, we know they've been worried about batting average. We know that nobody really cares about fielding percentage outside of the stat heads. But it is a change significant enough that if it continued on, you would almost have to create a splice in understanding stats relative to one another inside the game, unless you were doing some really advanced stuff on range factors and things like that. But yeah, I like conspiracies. So my guess is there is some impetus on that for some very easy PR reasons.
Well, let's be real. I mean, not to go down the rabbit hole, but the conspiracy theorists are on a real run right now. I mean, they've had about a 3-year run of nailing it. So
yeah, I like the.
I don't disregard much conspiracy theory at all anymore. There, too many of them are coming to fruition.
Yeah, Luke, I've got 2 or 3 newsletters every day that absolutely add to the content of the podcast and catch me up. It would frankly be dumb not to, because I can't search every website, so I let them bring it to me. But yeah, that is certainly one of them. Most days they do a really good job. I don't just go to the site very much, but I will let the newsletter guide me from time to time.
But the Athletic Pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But that's worth your time to check out. It's interesting because I'm watching. I deal with college baseball every day, where you basically have to just fall down and trip and have the ball go between your legs to get an error sometimes, and it depends on home and away. And a lot of times the justification is, well, if we're on the road, we're going to get screwed, so we screw the road team. And it's like, well, hold on a minute, though. Couldn't we just be normal?
Well, last week, the Cubs went back like 2-3 weeks and put an error on Nico Horner to take 6 earned runs away from Justin Steele.
Oh, really?
Lowered his ERA like half a point.
Well, it's a running joke in the baseball press box because they'll make a thing and like a couple people in the press box will be like, "Oh, I can't believe he did that." And it's like, it's fine. It'll be fixed in like 2.5 hours. It's okay. They'll ask Mike after the game what the ruling is, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And he's very pro hit. Very, very pro hit. Very pro hit.
So he's anti-error.
It's not. As he says very often, it's not Dodger Stadium. Just.
That's true.
Don't let it play.
That's true. You shouldn't hold a college shortstop to the same standard that you hold the Guardians shortstop.
Yeah, and he's very hard on his catchers because he expects excellence. So you'll have more pass balls that could easily be wild ball pitches. He will punish a catcher with pass balls if he thinks it's at all the catcher's fault. Those are his 2 scoring quirks that you'll.
I'm cool with that.
You good with that?
Yeah. By the way, Jeffrey, since we're talking baseball, we did not get your Orioles announcer rant. I'd like to hear it.
I mean, for anybody who's been under a rock, the Orioles, they won't call it a suspension. The Orioles will simply say that they are looking forward to having Kevin's voice back soon.
Well, then why not yesterday?
He's healthy. He's not. I mean, he does not have
okay?
laryngitis. He is fine at this point. So. He's doing, and I've watched the video like 9 times. Like I'm watching for mannerisms or something. Like this is boggling my mind.
He's actually a very talented broadcaster.
He's been there a long time, liked a ton.
Yeah.
Last night, the Orioles fans were chanting "Free Kevin Brown" at the game.
Yeah.
That's when you know administratively you've made a huge error, is when the fans who are at the game for a division leader are talking about the radio guy or the TV guy, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, he is talking about a stat that was in every game note that the Orioles play the Rays with. You should see our notes packages. This kind of crap is in them. Thank you. I appreciate them, but they're there every day.
Yeah.
The in-house Orioles PR team made the graphic that said tropical depression playing off the park there in Tampa.
Yeah.
This is, it is the most normal thing in the world.
It's the kind of stuff you talk about in a broadcast.
Because it was a positive. The Orioles are winning the division. They're maybe the most fun team in baseball, depending on how you feel about the Atlanta Braves. That's it.
Oh, no, they're more fun than the Braves.
Yeah.
They're not as good as the Braves, but they're more fun than the Braves.
I mean, I have spent this season talking multiple times on this podcast about how I like, obviously, to whatever extent I'm a Braves fan, because I've always been a Braves fan.
Sure.
And I like the Orioles because they have college guys, love Adley Rushman, like the whole deal. Like the Orioles.
Yeah.
Until this week. And I go, you know what? I see where this is going. This one decision tells me everything I need to know. There's a reason teams suck. There's a reason that it doesn't work out at the end of the day.
Yep.
And it's because some people are better than others. That is the way this works. And when you're worried about a stat that is true and is showing frankly, your management success, because you have come from those depths and you have gotten to this point.
For sure.
It was about the fact that they had lost 15 straight series against the Tampa Rays.
In the same division with the Yankees and Red Sox.
Correct, yeah. The Rays have done this to them. The Rays, whose plan they're essentially implementing or emulating to some extent with how they have built their franchise.
Yeah.
And you're that worried and you're that insecure and you're that whatever that you worry about this, because what they figured out is through sources, and I've read a good bit on this, frankly too much, is it had to be ownership because no one else would be able to get away with it without somebody walking in and going, what the hell are you doing? That he's the only person where he has too many yes people around him and nobody goes, hey, whoa. You'd realize you're going to make a story out of something that's not our division leading baseball team, right? That's the most fun team in the country. But no. I mean, it's a lot like, and I know we changed on the decision. We changed on what we felt about it. You and I disagreed a little bit, then I kind of came around to you. But Artie Moreno with the Angels. Yeah. They're always going to suck because Artie Moreno's their owner.
Yes.
He sucks.
100%.
So they're whatever.
100%.
And look, the Orioles are a damn good team. But when this takes up any part of your day and you make this decision and then double down and stay on it because you didn't bring him back last night. You didn't go, you know what? I was sensitive. I'd had a day. My coffee didn't have cream in it. I screwed up. Kevin, I'm sorry.
My butler did not do a good job that day.
But seriously, that's all you had to do is go, hey, you know what?
I had a day. I made a bad decision.
I'm sorry.
I made a bad decision. I made a
Kevin,
mistake.
Come back. I might even do this little social media thing where I shake your hand and go, whatever, when you beat the Rays. And maybe you tell your PR team, hey, let's spoof off this. Let's turn this funny for a day, and then we'll all move on.
Yeah.
Because baseball Twitter accounts are funny.
Yeah.
Let's be funny, and then let's get out of this. Instead, no, sources say they expect him back on August the 11th. Oh. Because?
Why?
The Orioles are not going to win the World Series. They're not.
I can't argue that.
There something inside that I went, nope, you're a loser and you've always been a loser. And even though you're really fun right now and I love your team,
you'll find a way to screw it up.
You're a loser.
You'll find a way to screw it up.
No, you're a loser.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't disagree at all. It's insane. And they should be such a fun team. Because they got more fun guys coming up. They're going to improve. They've got. I mean, they're a blast. Rutschman, outside of Shohei and Acuna, is maybe the most fun player in baseball, and is apparently every bit as good of a guy as he is a player. I mean, he's genuinely a good dude. But they screwed it up.
I mean, I found myself really happy the Astros hit a grand slam in the ninth inning yesterday. Won 7-6.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle Tucker hit a grand slam in the ninth inning to beat them 7-6 last night. And I just pulled for the Astros in a baseball game.
Oh, that does tell you something.
I mean,
because they're hard to cheer for.
Talk about having to.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know that brine that's on oysters a little bit that you got to get through? That's
that licorice taste kind of that you just can't. Yeah.
It's because what are you going to do? Is he just going to come back in the booth on August 11th like nothing ever happened?
Oh, I'm sure.
Does he even reference it?
I'm sure he doesn't.
I mean, from The Athletic, despite it being in the game notes, ownership took exception to Brown pointing it out, believing it made them sound cheap. Baltimore ranks 29th in Major League Baseball in payroll.
They are cheap. I mean, you are cheap. That'd be like me saying, that made me sound bald.
My other favorite, and I'll stop because we already need to get to football. They took him out of the booth right after the comment, but said, hey, we've got some shortages in some other areas. Go do radio for 3 games or for a game. He did radio in Philadelphia and then got pulled off everything. So we're just going to let somebody see your face for whatever. But, hey, Jim's out with the flu, so go
do the radio broadcast.
Yeah. I need some thought bubbles on Ben McDonald right now, wherever he is.
Well, the part is that they clearly planned the open to the broadcast and the in-house.
Multiple sources briefed on the decision also said ownership has enacted a new policy mandating their broadcasters wear only team gear when on air, which has rankled some. The snafu led to Brown filling in on radio after his comment in the Rays series because another broadcaster got in trouble. Broadcasters have also been reprimanded previously for mentioning past Oriole players who no longer with the team.
Oh yeah, that's
what? Whoa! Who is monitoring this?
I mean, what are we doing? And I did notice they were wearing Oriole stuff. Like usually they wear, like the Cubs guys wear marquee stuff. They don't really wear Cubs stuff.
The Orioles, however, are in first place in the American League East.
They are. They're a really good.
They're really
good baseball team, and just a lot of fun to watch.
Tommy Boy quote is so good. Does this suit make me look fat? No, your face does. Okay.
No, it's not the suit, man.
We talked about it yesterday. You saw it again last night. What do you make of practice being so low key? I mean, I don't want to repeat yesterday's conversation, but it's one of the few things you and I talked about before the show started today. It's keeping them fresh. It's all the things we mentioned yesterday, but it's to such a degree that it almost looks weird, and I have to adjust to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've covered college football in August pretty much every year since 1994. God, I'm old. But
That was the Eagle.
yeah. But I've never seen a camp that's this, I don't know, laid back's not the right. Last night was laid back. Okay, last night was chill. It had just a
shorts and shoulder pads.
It was not physical. They worked. Look,
but they're thumping at best.
I think he's on to something. And I'll give credit to who said it. David Eckert covers
Clarion Ledger.
Ole Miss for the Clarion Ledger. I was talking to him for a minute, and he said, when you're going to go 1,000 miles an hour, you want fresh legs. And when you're trying to make sure you build depth and you give guys meaningful reps, you can't do that if they're hurt. And they're clearly emphasizing assignment. Like, I could watch Pete Golding coach defense for an hour a day before I got bored.
Oh.
A lot of instruction. There's no point. The whole, and we talked about this. You yell and cuss and scream and do nothing else but that at 19, 20-year-old kids, you will lose them. That's just not the way they were raised. And you can have some generational debate, if that makes you feel good, about how it was better in the old days when coaches told you that you're going to run uphill to practice both ways, and you're going to do it. You're not going to drink, and you're not going to have any water, and you're going to like it.
Junction boys.
Whatever. I mean, if that makes you feel good, cool. It's just not that way anymore. And there's just a lot more instruction. There's a lot more emphasis on getting the assignment correct and going fast. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on the biomechanical part of making sure that bodies are healthy and they're getting ready to go into a season where, look, you're going to play a game against Mercer at 1:00 in the afternoon. It's going to be 4,608 degrees. Then you're going to go south and basically play a game on the equator at 2:30 in the afternoon in the hottest place on earth in September. And then after that, 2 weeks later, you're going to play Alabama, LSU and Arkansas. Boom, boom, boom. Well, you're going to want fresh legs, as fresh as you can get. So, I mean, it's very clear to me, at least. And I mean, Lane kind of addressed this, right? But they're just not going to, hey, we're not going to pulverize the roster in August and then hope it sort of sorts itself out in September.
The one thing that has always been the conversation to this topic, and it's mentioned in the stream, is do you have to do a certain amount of to-the-ground tackling to be good at tackling early in the season? Yes or no?
Well, they do a lot of tackling drills, just not of other human beings.
Yeah, they use all the mechanics and the pads,
the
and
rolling
all the
thing and stuff like that, where they do tackle to the ground, but they're not hitting each other to the ground. Now, they're going to do some of that.
Here's the deal, too. Tackling is more than 50% about position. Getting to the right place at the right time. Yeah, sure, wrapping up matters and all that. Don't get me wrong, because some people try to do the thump and knock people down, and they're bad tacklers. But people who are really bad tacklers are people who don't get to a spot at the right angle and right time and the mechanics of tackling.
Right.
That's why you miss tackles, is you're not in the place you need to be when you need to be there, and you start reaching. So get fresh legs, get there, get to your spot, do those kind of things.
Yeah.
And you teach that in a lot of different ways.
So I don't know. It just was there's just a different vibe to that practice than what I'm sort of used to in August.
I'm really curious what Thursday looks like when they put pads on.
I mean, Kiffin has come as close as any coach to admitting that spring football is not really something he cares much about. I mean, he almost has said out loud, we do it because everybody else does it. We do it because you're supposed to do it. He doesn't put emphasis on it. And this, you know, if you watch Hard Knocks last year with the Lions, there were practices that they built to where it was like, hey, guys, this practice, might want to turn it on. Decisions are getting made from this practice. This is a big practice. And then there were practices where, hey, this is a learning day. We're not killing each other today. We're all on the same team here. Let's protect each other, stuff like that. There's just kind of a lot of that out there. I think he's ahead of the mental curve here. I won't be the one that if something goes bad, I won't be the one, well, if he'd practiced harder in August. I'm not doing that. But and on our beat, I don't think there'll be anyone that will do that. I don't think. I think the goal is to get to the starting tape as healthy as you can.
Speaking of practice, it did not look good yesterday, but hopefully Braylon Sanders recovers or gets a good prognosis. He came up with a bad knee yesterday during Dolphins camp, so don't know what that looks like. But just, I did see that yesterday as Ohio State's athletic director is retiring next year.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Gene Smith.
Think Ross will get that gig?
Be a very wanted gig. I mean, be time to get out of College Station potentially by then.
Might be.
Will he hire the next Texas A&M football coach?
I mean, he'll hire who they tell him to hire.
Will he be in place to hire the next A&M football coach?
I don't know. I don't know enough about the internals there to know whether he's in any shape, form, or fashion hot water. But whoever hires the next football coach at Texas A&M will be people that have a lot of oil money.
There's a lot of people to answer to in College Station.
Yes, it's not a
lot of donors, a lot of folks,
a lot of stuff,
a lot of cooks.
Yeah,
that want to stir a little bit.
A lot of howdies.
Yeah, kick them.
Do you think in regular conversation when they know nobody's listening, they just say hello, or do you still think they go howdy?
I think it's so ingrained. You're still saying
it's howdy.
Yeah, it's just what you do. I mean, you don't need an audience, War Eagle when you're walking down the street or anything.
That's true.
It's there. Ready to elevate your college football game day experience? Check out Twisted Tea, your go-to game day beverage for college football fans. Twisted Tea is unlike any hard beverage you've had before. It's made with real brewed tea and packs a flavorful punch with 5% alcohol, no carbonation, delivering the perfect balance of taste and refreshment that goes down smooth for every game day occasion. No need to settle for the usual. Twisted Tea turns up any occasion, especially when you're cheering for your favorite team, whether you're tailgating, watching at a bar, or hosting friends at home. Twisted Tea is there to elevate game day experience. It perfectly complements your love for college football and your passion for creating unforgettable moments. So let's toast to unforgettable game day experiences. Twisted Tea, the drink that fuels fun and celebrates your love for college football. Keep it twisted.
Do you hate losing games? Do you hate losing players? Do you hate paying for your insurance? If you said yes to those questions, Davey Ferris can help. Davey is partnered with the Grove Collective. We'll be donating 20% of all commissions, 10% of all renewals on both personal and commercial insurance policies. Davey can serve his customers in all 50 states. He's dedicated to making sure Ole Miss athletics succeeds in this era of college sports. So contact Davey at 214-715-7247 or via email at dferris@hillcoinsurance.com. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are some of the questions that can only be answered with a personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago with Seago Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or you prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Stress out about the Rebels, not your money. It's rebelsretire.com. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products and services if you live in Oxford, Tupelo, the surrounding area. Call Comer, 662-801-1777. Or if you live in Hernando, Memphis, that area, call the people at Southern, 662-429-4429. A-Stock is a Nashville-based online retail company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items start at just $1. That's right. Every item starts at just $1, no matter what the retail value may be. Shop now at astock.bid. That's ASTOCK.BID. or download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. A-Stock has multiple locations around Nashville and Memphis, some in Indiana, and more coming soon that offer local pickups, so don't miss out. The College Corner is coming to Oxford this fall. Their newest location will be in the Oxford Commons, just off of Sisk Avenue. They'll have more than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear with plenty of parking available. Their staff will have you in and out and ready for the Grove in no time. It's opening in mid-August. You can also check out their website, collegecornerstore.com. And we're brought to you by Game Changer Patches, the only two-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch used before or while you drink, the overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game and ready for your next play. Go to GameChangerPatch.com. Promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer medicine. Free prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. They also will transfer your medications easily there with G&M. You make one phone call, they take care of the rest. Again, Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or G&M in Oxford. That's 662-236-2222. Gonna get the Missouri thing in a minute, but before we do that, Ross Dellinger, now of Yahoo Sports,
our guy,
yeah,
we're colleagues,
completely a guy now, yeah. He with a story yesterday about the ACC expansion and SMU potentially crashing the party, with some interesting financials, as Cal and Stanford probably taking a 60 to 70% share off the top in the ACC. They've got the grant of rights causes a huge problem here. However, the ESPN contract, much like the SEC, has the pro rata where teams have to get the same thing from their side of this. SMU, just for survival, willing to go 5 years without distribution for a long-term home to go, okay.
Bet on yourself.
And betting that the league is okay with this and it survives.
Good luck.
But now what's your other option?
So here's
because the American is going so crappy that
here's what's interesting.
It's worth the gamble. Because, look, the money's there if they want it to be there. Now, their donors have to get involved, but let's not act like Highland Park doesn't have enough cash to fund things for a minute.
Oh, no. Look, there are people. We have an emailer who sends us stuff who's tied in with SMU who will tell you that the money's there and the commitment may very well be there. I mean, there's a lot of money in Highland Park. I mean,
yeah.
All the money.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me about the ACC thing is
you're getting nothing anyone gives a damn about.
And not only that, but 2 or 3 of the people in the ACC are like, "What the hell are we? What?"
Yeah, Clemson is happy now because Stanford, Cal, and SMU are in the league. It's like, hold on.
And then Greg Sankey yesterday, I think on Feinbaum, I'll give credit where credit's
due. Is that where it was?
I'm pretty sure.
The SEC network.
Yes. Says, there's really nothing out there that we're all that interested in. Right at this moment, I think he said we are in a phenomenal position, which jives. Listen. So let me be clear here, Chase. I don't cover the SEC anymore. It's not my beat. I'm interested. I keep up, but I'm not digging on the beat. Okay, so I could well be wrong, and if I am, so be it. And they named Florida State and Clemson as new members later today. Don't send me the things going, you idiot. I'm admitting that I might not be right here. But I've consistently heard that the SEC is just not interested in those schools. And so I don't know that they have the leverage that they want to have, which begs the question, Florida State's bluster, what's that all about? Do they have an overture from the Big Ten that they're not telling anybody about? Is the Big Ten trying to make a stealth move into the Southeast, which in some ways makes sense? You already have the Northwest, you have the West Coast, you have the Midwest. Maybe you go get the Southeast. You already have the Northeast. You're technically in the New York market. Maybe that's their big move. Maybe the Big Ten's move is to be a 20-team league that covers coast to coast. But I don't sense that the SEC, and Sankey basically says this, I don't sense that the SEC is particularly worried about it.
It's been my thought process the entire time, at least with the moves that the Big Ten have made with Washington, Oregon, USC. Just like, okay, I get it. I can get there on all those. I understand why that makes a ton of sense in a lot of ways, taking out the whole travel thing.
Here's Sankey's quote, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're very clear that there's not something out there that we should be reaching for. We're very clear. This was on Feinbaum.
Okay.
We're very clear that there's not something out there that we should be reaching for. Now, there's some semantics there. Technically, the ACC schools aren't, quote, out there because they're locked up.
Come on.
But come on.
The for sale sign would go in the yard very quickly.
Here's another quote.
Yeah,
I think it's wise for us to take a step back and reconsider what the playoff format might look like given these changed circumstances.
Sure.
I have not had any meaningful conversations, but I think we have to acknowledge it is on everyone's mind pending the outcome of some of these membership movements. Right now, we still have 10 FBS conferences, but there are obviously questions on whether or not that remains. And yeah, that could create a thought in my mind and in others of some level of adjustment being made. Okay, well, now that walks it back a little.
It's still more on the side of my thought, though, which is if you're going to take teams and you're going to do this, it has to be something that actually increases something.
Yes.
And Cal and Stanford and SMU in its current iteration do not do that. No one has eyeballs on those games. They don't care. You're not gaining more people really at all with Clemson playing Cal instead of Clemson playing Pitt.
Well, listen to this jab at the ACC. This is Greg Sankey being. He took your robe.
He did.
He put your robe on.
Okay.
And he's standing at the mic talking to Gordon Soley at this point.
Okay.
We don't need to be in 4 time zones to generate interest on the West Coast. To be the man. Woo!
I mean, that's a little bit of a shot at the Big Ten, too.
It's a little bit of a shot at everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and he ain't wrong.
Well, that's my point is, hold on a minute. You need more money for the conferences for less appealing games. Teams that don't draw any ratings, that don't do anything for you, frankly. Like, that's my point. What the ACC is doing, I get it's about survival in a way, but
there's only one team out
the
there. There's only one team out there, Chase, that does anything that increases the SEC watchability, and that's Notre Dame. That's it.
Maybe I'm crazy, but no, I would fight this. I would debate this, and I know I'm right.
Okay.
Of the 3, if I'm the ACC,
yeah,
SMU's the one I want. The hell with Cal or Stanford.
Agreed.
100%. They're in Dallas.
100%.
At least the ceiling is there, and that state cares about football.
Oh, for sure.
And here's the deal, too. Right now, you're competing against the Big 12. The ACC and the Big 12 are having their own fight, and the SEC and the Big 10 are having their own fight. They're in 2 different classifications.
Yeah.
We can talk about pound for pound, but
sure,
they're in their own classifications because the money is making them in their own classifications.
There's the Big 2. We have to stop talking
about the way,
the Big
Ross
5.
is the first person to, in print, say the Power 4 now because the Pac-12 is gone. So we have a Power 4 now.
I think it's a Power 2.
It is.
Fair enough.
Point being, if say SMU gets good at football, decent, whatever.
Okay.
Make your, and that's not crazy.
Well, no, people in Dallas love football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does it hurt? TCU. Who is maybe a top 2 team in the Big 12 right now.
It's true.
So you're also damaging your opponent when you do this. You would have a hell of a story. SMU's got cool uniforms and cool logos, and I mean they're neat if they're decent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Stanford, from a football standpoint, I get they won under hardball.
SMU might have the best uniforms. The pony on the white. It's good. That's good. Hey, listen, I'll fight till there's blood drawn on that one. That's a good look.
Point being, Stanford has had two really, really, really good college football coaches in the last 15 years, David Shaw and Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
2 of the best.
Yeah.
From a coach standpoint.
Yeah. They
come out of that era and they are non-existent. And they're getting more non-existence because they don't have the buy-in into athletics the same way that everybody else does.
Well, you see the picture of their stadium on game day.
It's not about anything else. It's about if this is the conversation we're having where it's about TV and money and all those things, if that's what it's really about, Stanford and Cal do nothing for you at all. Let me bet on SMU. So the fact that I'm going, hey, I want Cal and Stanford, and maybe I take SMU. What are you doing?
No, I'm
If
with you.
this is about what it's about,
I'm completely with you.
because if SMU gets a little better, let's say they could just be 8-4. Clemson SMU is a lot sexier than Clemson and Cal. It's not close.
Yeah. Well, and it'd take you half the time to fly your volleyball team to Dallas that it would take to fly it to San Francisco. And I know the answer is going to be, well, what they'll do is they'll play Cal on Friday and Stanford on Sunday. Whatever.
How about you just go play SMU and fly home? Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, you're just explain to me how.
I get SMU needs facility upgrade, all that. I don't care. I don't care.
Whatever.
That's not my point.
Their football stadium's fine.
Gerald Ford Field.
They could fix it up a little bit. It's fine.
Moody's ugly, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
No one's making decisions based on anything other.
They don't
than
even have
football.
baseball, so you're good. Keep what you're doing.
They don't even. No one's making a decision on this on anything based other than football. Period. Now it affects everybody else, but it's football. And the whole thing, by the way, about why don't we just make the conferences football only, and then have that doesn't work. That's not how this. That's not how the whole business thing is designed.
And see, Jason, I just don't think fan base matters, because I could be wrong, but I think SMU is a horrible bet. Big money they bring, but they don't bring a fan base at all. I don't think it matters. I don't think local fan base has any bearing on this.
No, and I think if you told their fans that, hey, instead of playing all these nobodies, we're going to suddenly play North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, I think all of a sudden there would be more fan buy-in. I do.
Yeah, sure.
If I'm a casual SMU fan,
I'm in. Yeah.
and you tell me I don't even know who the hell's in the league they're in now. If you tell me that, hey,
instead of Memphis and East Carolina,
yeah, that's okay. Instead of Memphis and East Carolina, you're going to play Clemson and Boston College.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm more interested.
Yeah.
I'm a casual fan. Sure, I'm much more interested. Austin with the super chat. Make the case for Notre Dame and the SEC. It's very simple.
Tons of eyeballs. Tons of money.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
Money and eyeballs. And
although Notre Dame does not care.
No,
they're good.
They don't. They're as long as NBC goes, hey, here's the money.
And they also just signed the largest apparel deal in college football.
Yes.
They just got like $10 million a year in apparel.
No, it's not even a hot take. The one program out there that could elevate the SEC. I didn't say fit in the SEC, make the SEC have another product that's worth watching, blah, blah, blah. The one that could elevate the SEC is Notre Dame. If I told Ole Miss people, hey, Notre Dame's coming to town for a conference game next year, people getting jacked up.
It's a big deal.
If I tell you, hey, Florida State's coming to town, it's like, okay, cool. I mean, but what's the difference between Florida and Florida State if you're an Ole Miss fan? If I tell you Notre Dame's coming to play, you're getting all fired up. You're circling that weekend. You're calling our boys at 7 South tailgating, and you're getting everything hooked up because you're going to go all out for the Notre Dame game.
Grind's right. This Florida State, as pissed as they are right now, go, hey, your conference schedule next year includes games at Highland Park and Berkeley.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I go back to my thing. Where's this bluster from Florida State going? A part of me wants the ACC to go, okay, guys, I tell you what, you want out? You're out. Here, we'll sign the papers. Bye.
Now where are you going?
We're even going to waive the grant of rights fee for you. Just disappear. Haul ass. Have fun. Good luck. Move out. I don't think the SEC jumps. Maybe the Big Ten does. Maybe they know something. Maybe they want to go to the Big 12. I have no idea. But I don't know where all it's confusing.
Is the ACC viable to any moderate length of time with those three schools? Can they get enough money to be okay?
I don't know. I mean, what does it do for you?
You're still fourth. You're behind the Big 12.
Yeah. What does it do for you?
I mean, you literally survive. The lights stay on.
I mean,
but if you're the SEC and the Big 10, they keep going, hey, what does this 12-team playoff look like from an automatic bid standpoint? Well, you're kind of pissed if they get an automatic bid. You're like, hold on a minute. Look what's in that league. Why are we giving them an automatic bid?
Well, I think that's what Sankey's – it's probably where the SEC and the Big 10 are aligned, where they look at this and go, hey, 9-3 in the SEC or the Big 10 is a lot different than even 11-1 in one of your silly leagues. So, no, you don't get an automatic qualifier.
I can build you a football schedule for Clemson or Florida State in that new league where they lose a game to each other and then beat a bunch of nobodies. And you go, okay, great. And what?
Right. I mean, meanwhile, if you starting next season, if you play an SEC schedule and come out of it with a 5-3 league mark and you win,
BWL's got a good point. Not everything's equal. The SEC right now is getting far less than the Big Ten, and Bama's not bitching about it.
No. Well, look, there's a confidence, whether it's right or wrong, we'll see. There's a confidence in SEC circles that the TV money is going to work itself out. Confidence is putting it mildly. There's a certainty.
I just think there's something to efficiency in being as good as possible with the teams you have, and that is what we have. And if I can do something better, great, but it needs to be something better.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not grabbing a bunch of dead weight to prorata and all this stuff that makes no sense.
All right, so let's do it this way. Here's the
because if they could do it over again, truth serum.
If who could do it over again?
The SEC.
Okay.
Would they add Missouri? And Missouri's not a dead weight. They're okay. They're fine. I have no issue.
Probably not.
They wouldn't.
Probably not. Missouri would be in the Big Ten, maybe.
Or the new Big 12.
Yeah. That was a move made at a time when it was about footprint.
We thought something was different.
But it was different.
It was.
Things do change.
Yeah, sure.
You know, just because a decision, when you look back on a decision 12 years later and you're like, well, that didn't make sense. Well, it made sense then.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ask people, hey, put on your technology future glasses and make decisions. Well, people would really miss a lot. That's like you sign a superstar and he gets hurt and he's not the same player. Well, it doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. Sometimes you just have bad luck.
Decisions and processes and all that, not the same thing.
Right.
Because a positive outcome happened does not automatically make something a good decision. And vice versa.
That's a good point, Nick Saban.
It's true.
He's right.
100% true.
When Saban talks about process over outcomes, he's right.
Yeah. Was my process of making the decision correct? Okay.
I'll
live with the...
If I follow the process correctly 10 times out of 10, more times than not, it's going to work out. That doesn't mean that it won't ever not work out.
Not to get self-help book, but that's what this is. This is a very large version. It's kind of what I'm talking about. This is a very large version of the idea of, and I forget the term, but when you have a decision, what is the cost of it being correct versus the outcome positivity of it being correct versus the negative?
Yeah.
How likely is it to be negative? And if it is negative, how bad does that hurt me versus how big is the huge thing that I get and how likely is that to happen?
Right.
Because if I say, you got 20% of a chance to win $5,000. It only costs you $20.
Okay.
Well, your odds are only 20%, but that's one you do every day because you only lose $20.
Right.
Whereas if I go, hey, it's going to cost you $1,000 to win 100, but your chances are like 70%. Well, no, I'm out. It makes no sense.
Right.
It's the same thing here. When you add Stanford and Cal and do this, what are you actually getting?
So here's my thing with
your
the
negative is much bigger because at some point ESPN goes, hold on a minute, I'm not paying them. I'm not doing anything. Look at these ratings. Look, in the last 3 years, every game that's been any good has been not including those teams.
Well,
you guys are idiots.
Here's where the ESPN thing is interesting. ESPN, which is supposedly losing money. I don't know whether they are or not. I'm not inside ESPN. But if you're ESPN, at some point, don't you look at these ACC things and go, no, wait a minute, what are we doing? So Cal and Stanford are adding Cal and Stanford to the ACC is going to change the ratings problem? It's going to make my money back? I'm going to stop bleeding money? That's why I keep waiting for the ESPN to go, okay, what parts of the ACC have value? Now, I need to move them into a property that also has value and try to increase the value across the board. Here's my thing with expansion, and I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Including teams that are in leagues, what schools out there add value to the SEC, to the TV deal? What schools out there today, including and I'm not doing the deal where let's take away Mississippi State. No. You're in the 16. The 16. What if you were to just add, whether it's to go to 17 or 18 or to 29, what schools add value to the SEC? I think it's a really small list. It's It's USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. That might be it. You could maybe talk me into North Carolina. I know there's people in the SEC office who firmly believe that. What schools add value? I don't think Miami does. People keep talking about Miami, and I'm like, I don't get it.
No.
I've never understood how Florida State adds value.
They don't. No.
Clemson, I kind of feel like the SEC already has Clemson. They have Auburn.
Yeah.
Who's adding value?
That's true. Yeah.
Who's adding value to my league? Michigan would. Ohio State would, for sure. Right? You can maybe even talk me into Wisconsin.
Penn State.
USC, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Notre Dame. After that, man,
Clemson is kind of the East Coast version of Oregon, where you go,
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, like Oregon. Oregon doesn't add any value to the SEC. So it's kind of where it is.
You care about basketball at all?
You mean from a conference?
Yeah.
I mean,
from a TV, change the game, anything, does it matter at all?
I don't think so.
It's just down at the bottom as a footnote to go, hey, by the way.
Well, I mean, we do a podcast every day.
I mean, North Carolina would be cool in the league for basketball.
Sure. But in the SEC even, when does anybody really turn their attention to basketball? Mid-January?
Yeah.
So you have 2 months?
You got to get out of bowl season. So, yeah.
2 months. So I get 2 months of, sure.
Conference play begins the last week of the season, the last week of the year, first week of the new year.
But we don't pay attention to it until the middle of January.
You got to get through the national championship.
And we don't really pay attention till the middle of February.
Yeah.
Now, that might change here with Ole Miss having a much more high-profile coach, and maybe the program elevates, and all of a sudden people are talking about basketball in November. Perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
But around the league, how many schools around the league really turn their focus to basketball before January?
Not many.
Kentucky. That's about it.
That is it.
I mean, look, North Carolina's a big basketball brand. They would help the league. I mean, I get why the SEC wants North Carolina. I totally get it.
Yeah, I got no problem with that.
They've moved their league office to the state of North Carolina.
Correct.
I mean, it makes sense.
TV network.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, Charlotte. It is August, but Heavenly Sunshine has Christmas on their mind. To kick off Christmas, they are excited to announce Holiday Lights by Heavenly Sunshine. When they know Christmas lights are beautiful, they can be a lot of work. Let them take care of the hassle and do the work for you. The full-service installation plan. They install, take down, and store the lights. They use commercial-grade LEDs that are 100% customizable to your home or business. Let them take care of the lights while you take care of the gifts. Book your free estimate before August 31st and mention MPW10 for 10% off. They've been serving the Mid-South and Oxford for 4 decades. The full-service commercial and residential property maintenance includes power washing, soft wash roof cleaning, facade cleaning, and window cleaning. That's heavenlysunshine.com, 662-342-1203 to book your free estimate.
Get ready for 2023 Ole Miss football by stepping up your sock game. Select one of 3 different Saturday 7-packs to complete your outfit for each of the Rebels' 7 home football games. Select the Oxford edition or one of the 2 NIL boxes. Dead Soxy members get exclusive pricing on the Oxford 7-pack, while NIL boxes are on sale for $150. Step up your game day style with a 7-pack of Dead Soxy premium socks and cheer on your Rebels in comfort and style. It's deadsoxy.com. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle. Pinnacle based in Jackson, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. At Pinnacle, investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle will sit down with you. They'll listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. It's mypinwealth.com, MYPINN wealth.com. We're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John is with Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits, simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with him. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. He's going to give you options that you're probably not going to find on your own. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. And we're brought to you by Opa. It's Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square. It's a perfect place for a company dinner, a festive party event, fabulous food, great craft libations as well. They accommodate up to 200 guests. For catering or booking information, call Jeannie at 601-421-7147. We were telling you about 7 South tailgating. If you're going to tailgate in the Grove, it's coming up here soon, you want to tailgate with 7 South. They'll make it where you'll never tailgate without them again. They've got individual game packages, single game, double game. You can add on with TVs, that kind of thing. You can basically make your package as complicated or as simple as you like. Tents, tables, chairs, coolers, tablecloths, box fans, generators, sidewalls, all of that and more for SEC game packages, non-conference games, individual games. Again, it's 7southtailgating.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. 7 different flavors available for you. Everything from the New Orleans-style barbecue to the signature, the full meals in a bag, the Simply Shrimp that you can season yourself, and much more. You can get that delivered directly to your door. You can have it prepared in fewer than 10 minutes from freezer to plate with restaurant-quality shrimp. They also offer their 2-pound bags of individually frozen shrimp, a lot like what's at the grocery store, except a higher quality shrimp from the New Orleans-based company. Again, code RG with primeshrimp.com. You buy 5 pouches or more and get 25% off. Choose your favorites or a variety pack there with, again, primeshrimp.com. Going to forget this Missouri thing if we don't get to it. Again, I don't know why it's not sticking in my head. We knew for a while that Missouri had passed the law that said that high school athletes have the right to earn or attempt to earn compensation, basically NIL, after signing. But what is interesting is that the way the fine print is written, although it wasn't really fine print, just the way the law was written in Missouri to give more flexibility.
That's what I'm pulling up now.
Said that it goes here. A high school athlete shall have the right to earn or attempt to earn such compensation only after signing an athletic letter of intent or other written agreement to enroll in a post-secondary educational institution in the state.
That means a financial aid agreement, a scholarship agreement. And inside the state.
Is this only for Missouri students?
Yes.
Like high school students?
So here's an example.
Yeah. Luther Burton.
Well, there's one that's coming up.
Okay.
Williams Nawari, a 5-star player out of Missouri, who's scheduled to make a commitment Monday. It's Missouri, Oklahoma, Georgia. Well, if he goes to Missouri, he can sign a financial aid agreement and begin to get NIL money on September the 1st, as long as the document he signs is with an in-state institution. So Missouri gets a 4-month jump on competition. They can pay him legally in September.
This is a rule.
If he went to Georgia, Georgia can't.
This is a rule that came out a good while ago because I remember Neal and I covering this from a different way. They started allowing players to sign scholarship agreements prior to signing NILs. National Letter of Intents, NLIs. I hate how they're transfixed anyway.
Yeah, it's another reason to call it pay for play.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. So, C.J. Hampton, former Ole Miss signee, former Ole Miss football player, defensive back, he signed scholarship papers with multiple schools back in the day.
I remember this.
It was Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Florida State, if I have this correctly. Because I actually covered his announcement in Meridian that time. What happens under this rule, or at least it did back then, was that obligated those 3 schools to C.J. Hampton. They had all the liability, and if he wanted to come to those schools, they had to honor his scholarship and enroll him as a student at that school, obviously to play football. But it did not do anything for the kid. He could still go to Boston College or Kansas or USC or wherever he wanted to go. Despite signing those agreements, he could sign multiple of those agreements. Back then, they had a dumb rule in effect that if technically the scholarship agreement let coaches talk about the player publicly and recruit him without the liabilities of restrictions of recruiting. But if he ended up not going to your school, you committed violations every time you did so.
Yeah.
Because he had to follow through for it not to become a violation. It's one of the dumber things that they've done. But that's what this is playing off of here, is that a kid could sign this scholarship paper, start receiving NIL from the collective inside the state of Missouri because of this rule. And yes, they could get money in September, October, November, December, until he enrolls wherever. The catch is you could have a kid simply take your signing bonus, enjoy that for 3 or 4 months, and then go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
That is the other side of it that would at least potentially be possible.
In the Williams-Nowari hypothetical, he could commit to Missouri, sign some sort of paperwork.
Yeah.
It would only be binding for the school. It's not binding for him. He could take NIL money, pay for play money as a high schooler all the way through December, and then on December the 20,
Go to
whatever,
Oklahoma.
sign with Oklahoma. And what are you going to do?
Boomer. Yeah. But they, in theory, get a 4 or 9 month jump depending on when the kid is enrolling.
Yeah.
Because it's 9 month jump if he's an August kid.
Right.
Or a May kid, I guess.
May, yeah.
It's fascinating. How big of a deal is it?
I mean, I think it's a significant.
Is earlier money
Yeah. I mean,
the determining factor for a kid?
doesn't hurt.
No, of course not.
If I tell you, hey, Chase, there's this big payment that's coming your way. Do you want it?
Does it just mean
you want it in September or January?
Does it just mean you're going to get back to the old system where schools just pay under the table to match it?
Well, we're still doing that.
I know, but even more so.
I don't know. Beats me.
Because if I'm Oklahoma and I'm fighting this, I go, hey, look, that's how we would have done it pre-2020. What's the number? Hey, let me give you a heads up. Yeah, they can do that, and it's whatever. But, you got paperwork on that. I'm going to hand this to you, and you know what you don't have to do? You don't have to file taxes. What I'm giving you, it's the whole number. You know what they're going to do? They're going to take money from you.
Yeah, 20
as soon as they take it.
Right.
They're going to take this percentage before whatever they're telling you. That's not what you're going to get. Ask them. No. They're going to make sure you're going to have to write all this down. You're going to do all this stuff. No. I'm just handing you cash. We'll just keep it our little secret.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what people will tell you is that there's more money for the athletes today than there was in the under the table days because people are more willing to give now that it's not taboo. That there's no risk of your name coming out in an NCAA thing where you look like you did something unsavory. I mean, now if you give money to NIL or to pay for play, I mean, nobody thinks anything of it, really. If anything, you're applauded. You're certainly not, shamed.
No.
When your name came out on an NCAA thing years ago, there was a certain level of shame to it.
Oh, of course.
Scarlet letter of sorts.
Yes, of course.
You dumbass giving your money to some kid, blah, 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 blah.
Disassociations, the whole
Yeah,
deal.
the whole deal. You can't go to games. So I don't know. I mean, it's in this case, I think it's an advantage for Missouri.
It is an advantage. I just think you also can recruit against it depending on what type of kid you're dealing with.
Sure. And as someone who does not know Williams-Nowari,
no clue. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know him. Don't know his family. Can't speak to character
motivations or lack
to
thereof.
His character or lack thereof. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's an upstanding young man until proven otherwise.
Closing the other topic, you think Cal and Stanford are for sure in? SMU in or not?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't begin to weigh in on that. I mean, if Ross Dellinger says so, I'll take his word for it. I'm going to guess Ross is a little more connected to that deal than I am.
I would like to see his phone log for a day.
Probably has some interesting conversations.
And a lot of the fascinating part to me is just so much conjecture you're trying to actually mold into anything. But you do have the concept of everybody understanding we're just sort of laying out the snapshot.
Yeah.
You're not going to get killed in 10 days when it changes. Because it's going to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at last Friday. It changed from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I mean, I kind of think some people got played, but
they did. They took that meeting as serious. That all those ADs were in the room for the same purpose.
Well, put yourself in their shoes for just a minute. If the ADs at Oregon and Arizona and all these places tell you, hey, I think it's all going to work out. I think we're going to be okay. I mean,
they had a board meeting only in executive session the night before.
I once took the word of a football
I
coach about an
know.
NCAA case.
I know.
Turned out to not exactly be accurate.
If you'd like a history lesson, story of the day, I recommend Sam Kahn with a story about similarities between the Pac-12 and the Southwest Conference back when it was breaking up in the 90s. Essentially, how what is happening right now to Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State is the same thing that happened to Houston, Rice, SMU, and TCU back in February of 1994. Because it was TV related back then. I mean, I was too young to completely understand this because in '94 I was 10 years old. But I guess turning 11. But because he leads here, and I found it was kind of clever. He said the fate of multiple schools and entire conference hinged on a television contract. When clarity finally came, the resulting chain reaction destabilized college sports. Several schools fled that major conference, one with decades of rich history, traditions, and championships for stability and more lucrative futures than another league. The schools who left would maintain their place in college football's power structure, but the conference they fled was crippled with just 4 of its members left to fend for themselves. It's about the Southwest Conference in the mid '90s as everything was falling apart here. And the easy thing for people my age that don't necessarily understand this, and we talked a little bit about this last year with when college and pro and high school could play games, and that College Football Association, the group that was formed in the '70s, that negotiated television rights on behalf of, frankly, most FBS schools back in that day. They did a 4-year contract renewal with ABC for the ACC, Big 8, the SEC, the Southwest Conference, and the WAC. The Big 10 and Pac-10, I know you're shocked by this. We're not members of that, and they did their own thing even back then. But what happened was the SEC and the Big East negotiated a deal on their own. They didn't have any help with the College Football Association. CBS had gotten back into the game with the SEC, which they had lost NFL rights, had to put their money somewhere, so they put it in college football with the SEC and the Big East for basketball. Good move, by the way. I jumped in early on SEC football and Big East basketball. That was
pretty smart.
It's a good move by CBS right there.
For sure.
Well, when that happened then, that was the death blow because they'd already lost Notre Dame to NBC in 91 when they went independent and got their own deal, or they were already independent, when they got their deal with NBC. Well, because of that and those out, it broke up the entire thing off the table. The ACC signed its own deal. The Southwest Conference and Big 8 didn't really have any options, and then ended up with a merger to get something with ABC. Arkansas had left for the SEC at that point, and then that left those 8 schools: Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Houston. They merged, and then, they were the 4 public schools, 4 private schools, and then you had the 4 and 4 that merged into the Big 8, into the Big 12, and then the ones that were left over. What is fascinating is, as much as we talk about some of these programs that have been huge and all the money and all how wanted they are, frankly, Texas started this whole mess and with the Longhorn Network when realignment started happening. It's a crazy stat. The Southwest Conference from 1991 to 1993, so 30 years ago, but not crazy. They had 1 team in any of those 3 seasons finishing the AP Top 25. That's how far the Southwest Conference had fallen at the time. Frankly, a lot like the Pac-12 right now, outside of SC and Oregon or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Texas A&M, one time, was the only top 25 participant from 1991 to 1993. 4 schools merged with the Big 8. They found life rafts. They formed the Big 12. Arkansas had left, go to the SEC, and then the 4 left over, had to figure it out. Houston ends up in the in Conference USA, I guess. I think it was Houston.
Yeah.
And the 3 others joined the WAC.
Oh.
The WAC.
Louisiana Tech was in the WAC for a while.
They were. With what was the quarterback that was pretty good there? What was that kid's name?
Dunnigan? No.
They had a quarterback when they were in the WAC that was pretty good.
I can't remember.
I'm forgetting his name. It's a fascinating story because it is. It's there's a lot of mirror here. There really is.
I bet Louisiana Tech wishes they were in the Sun Belt right now. What a fit that would be for them instead of Conference USA.
The quotes. This guy, Sam Kahn, pulled a bunch of quotes out from the newspapers back in the mid-'90s from the different chancellors and ADs and people, and it's really interesting. I mean, again, it's a good history lesson if you'd like to get on there and kind of read about it and see history repeating itself.
Tim Rattay is your answer.
That is the answer.
Dwight.
Yes.
Just Dwight's came up with that in the thread stream.
Well, part of it, the Southwest Conference was all in one state. footprint was Texas.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
They had no.
Mm-hmm.
If people cared about that,
It was literally the state of Texas and then Arkansas, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I guess that's correct. Because when that happened, there was no. They would, essentially there was no power team in Dallas, Houston, or Fort Worth, which is what at the time was shocking to everybody. Thought, oh, big city football, and they went, no, they're out. Last game of the Southwest Conference, December 2nd, 1995. Houston beat Rice 18-17.
Great game.
Rice season ticket holders Dick and Margie Hudson flipped a large switch on the field after the game to turn out the lights, literally and figuratively, on 81 years of history. Rice, SMU, and TCU joined the WAC. Houston joined the newly formed Conference USA.
Do you know what Tim Rattay does now?
I can't say that I know what Tim Rattay does now.
He is the quarterbacks coach for Oklahoma State.
Oh, really?
Yep. Been there since 2020. He broke into coaching with the Las Vegas Locomotives. He went to Louisiana Tech. He was the wide receivers coach. Then he was the quarterbacks coach. He went to the Washington Redskins. And then he's been at Oklahoma State.
Interesting. I did not know that.
There you go.
Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark, NESPARC. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's NESPARC.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, and much more. So you can get the best internet in Lafayette County. That's 662-238-3159.
Brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, they can help you across the board, whether you're entry level or you're a seasoned professional. If you are a company looking to hire quality, hard-to-find talent, Service Specialists can help you too. Keep in mind that payment of service is solely contingent on if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. It's always free for the candidate, so you have nothing to lose. Give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 662-832-5138 or check out their new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. Get the beautiful and healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Bubba McQueen and Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today and take the first step toward a better version of yourself at corinthdental.com. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands, an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He's a longtime Rivals board member, a diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. He owns multiple franchises and businesses and uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Just find My Perfect Franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Contact Andy anytime at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or call him at 404-973-9901. And we're brought to you by Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. They've got 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails. So much offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback riding offerings from beginner lessons to advanced, being able to compete at nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for events, corporate outings, reunions, that kind of thing. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm.
Men's basketball renewal deadline coming up. That's August 31st. Renew or purchase now to be the priority seat selection process. Women's basketball tickets on sale for just $50 per season ticket. Those can be found at OleMissTix.com. Also, the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation starting their Pledge Per Win and Pledge Per Touchdown campaign for football. Go to Give2 Athletics to sign up today. Also, football party packs available. Single game tickets for football will go on sale August 15th, but you can buy now so you don't miss the 2023 football season. Anyone who ordered football season tickets will receive their tickets and park it passes via email on August 15th. I give him credit because, look, I mean, if Stanford gets into the ACC, it is a life raft for the Cardinal. It's the best they could do. Their AD did a hell of a job. That's all. That was your option, and you got it done.
Sure.
I'll give him because he's ignoring the other sports and the stuff that people are concerned about. It's not football travel that anybody's overly up in arms about, but he's focusing on what he should be focusing on from a PR standpoint, which is football, because that's all anybody's talking about and all that matters.
Yeah.
I actually kind of get his quote here. He goes, "I'm okay with traveling. Our guys love playing football. And if you got to travel a little more, that means when people come play us, they've got to travel too. We want to be in a great conference, and we're sure that'll happen. The travel, if it happens, it's fine. People used to come across the country in a covered wagon. It would take them months, and they'd be completely different people by the time they got there. We get on a plane for 5 hours, 6 hours. It's not the end of the world. You get drinks served to you and some snacks. It's not that bad." I like that quote, honestly. I'm going, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
It's all right.
We're
cool.
It's not really about the football.
It's not even high A baseball here, guys. Like, they're fine. We're on a plane. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's your volleyball team that's going to Happy Valley on a Tuesday. That's the problem. But
well, it's your women's basketball team. It's just it's
stupid.
It's so much of the stuff that's just stupid.
Greg Sankey, though, I mean, I know he's saying the truth because, I mean, Lane felt this too. But, like, you know, ESPN used the quote, he feels sadness about the realignment. It's like, okay, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
Hates the Pac-12 broke up, sure, but you feel a little bit like Scrooge McDuck or sitting on your throne going, I hate that. Yeah. That sucks. As you pick at the spare bones that are
not his fault.
They're lying around. It's Texas's fault. They started this whole mess.
I mean, sure, Texas's job is to look out for Texas.
Oh, sure.
You know.
But
I mean, it's Texas's job to look out for Texas, and they've done so quite well. They've positioned themselves appropriately. They're better off being in the SEC than they would have been in the Pac-12.
Oh, duh.
I mean, Oklahoma is better off being in the SEC than they would have staying in the Big 12 or whatever.
Wherever they were, wherever.
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's a much better cultural fit for the SEC than it would have been the Pac-12. I mean, Oklahoma fits this thing like a glove.
I mean, I would like some oral history of the trips that Oklahoma makes to Berkeley for football games and hear about it, but
yeah,
and vice versa. But
I mean, Oklahoma Ole Miss will be a lot of fun in 2024 here.
Oh, that is on the docket, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll bring
See, it's good.
They'll bring a lot of people. It makes tons of sense.
Well, it's like Josh McQueeston. He was talking about the other day. I was on Twitter, works for Oklahoma, one of the team site, SilverScoop.com. I have a hard time remembering where anybody is from a network standpoint, so I just stopped talking. But
on 3.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay.
And everyone else.
Yeah, I had to kind of quit for a minute. I went, ooh. But like he was getting put into lists that was like SEC media, and he was like, "This feels really strange right now. Like I don't. This is real, but it's not necessarily not computing right now."
Yeah, I saw Kerry Murdoch in Nashville, and he was there. I was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And for just a minute, I'd kind of forgotten. You're like, "Why are you here?"
So he came even now.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were just.
Well, if you're their fans, you're juiced.
Oh,
let's go ahead and start talking about it.
Fans are thrilled.
Yeah, we're
again. I mean, this time next year is going to be
fun.
Yeah,
fun's the answer.
It may be crazy, but yeah. The 2024 season's much more exciting than the 2023 season.
Yeah, you don't want to give one away, but you do sort of feel like, hey, we're trying to get to next year. This is just whatever.
Sure.
It's not, but it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, next year, the whole parameters change on the way we cover it and everything. This year, if I tell you this year that Ole Miss loses to, let's say Ole Miss loses to Alabama and LSU, okay? Well, they're done. They're not going to Atlanta. Probably not playing in the playoff. Almost certainly not playing in the playoff. If next year they lost 2 games and then went on a winning streak and had some big game like the one at Georgia, you'd be going, you know what? You beat Georgia, you're in the playoff. Totally different context. The way you approach everything totally changes in a way that is kind of more exciting.
A closing thought here, because I had this written down and forgot to get to it. Couple ACC rejections came yesterday as far as waivers for athletes on the second-time transfer thing. I get every case has its own situation and its own merit, but probably it sent some chills down a lot of coaches in football and basketball spines as the NCAA to this point has been very strict on these second-time transfers. So just
Very strict.
Just keep that in your pocket as things move forward, because Ole Miss's basketball season completely hinges on the impact of these waivers, in my opinion, Brandon Murray and Cisse, as far as getting eligible and being there. I believe Cisse has a legitimate case, and if they give out waivers, I think he has a good chance at one. I hear less about Brandon Murray.
Yeah.
Murray is more important for the roster for sure. So just kind of keep that in your pocket here, as we don't know when decisions will be made, but to this point, you're not seeing a lot of granted waivers on this second-time transfer.
Yeah, there's not a lot of precedent that's being established to make you feel optimistic.
If you don't have documentation of some sort of mental distress, you appear to be completely out of luck. There seems to be a pretty good line on, hey, there better be some level of actual documentation or action in whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's sort of where it feels like it's at right now. So, again, just be aware of that. We will talk to Jeffrey tomorrow on the show, and rebelgrove.com. In the meantime, again, practice last night. Read about Ulysses Bentley this morning. More stuff coming as the day moves on as well. So hope all of you have a wonderful day. Stay safe.